What's going on, guys? My name is Tommy. Welcome back to the channel. Lost Omens Ancestry Guide. Holy shit, there's a lot of new stuff. Holy shit, there's a lot of old stuff that's now new stuff. Holy fuck. Ancestry Anthology, The Fleshwarp. Let's dive right into it. Remember, if you're liking what you're seeing, to like, subscribe, ding the bell. Stay caught up on all your Pathfinder 1st and 2nd edition stuff. Remember that Patreon is the #1 way to support BDG, helping me roll out these things. I apologize I wasn't as on the cuff with this one. As it turns out, my YouTuber cool guy copy of this book will be coming in hard copy form as opposed to PDF form, and my bookshelf is quite happy for that. But anyway, I'm rambling. Let's hit it. Okie dokie. So, despite the fact that this is a very new in the grand scheme of things, playable option, flesh warping at large has been a thing that's happened on Golarion for a very, very long time, and truly is a video in and of itself. And since that process looks different depending on whether or not you're in like a drow city or Numeria or the Mana Wastes or even like 10 years ago where Mendeb bordered the World Wound, because truly I feel like the Mongrelmen could fall in this like umbrella as well. In 2nd edition, we're taking all of these things together, rolling them up into one, and making Fleshwarp an umbrella term, because indeed, umbrella it is. A Fleshwarp is the direct result of experimentation somewhere upon a humanoid. And although they are humanoid, no two look the same. Let's just bring our art in now, shall we? On today's episode of What the Chocolate-Covered Fuck Did You Bring to My Table, I present the Fleshwarp. Truly, these can run the gamut. But for now, let's hit the mechanics, shall we? So, the Fleshwarp is a rare ancestry, and truly an ancestry it is. I'm kind of surprised looking at this that this isn't a versatile heritage, because it definitely feels like it could have been, right? A Shuni happened to wander too close to something it shouldn't wander too close to. There was a magical oopsie-doo. Now that Shuni has 6 eyes on its ears. A Kelid man drank from the wrong water source in Numeria, and now suddenly is just the brute from Left 4 Dead. To say nothing of the literal combinations down in the Darklands. Drow plus spider equals Drider. Elf plus IIRC treant makes this fucky looking thing. So on and so forth. And like double that with the fact that I'm almost certain that when two flesh warps love each other very much, I imagine it doesn't, well, it probably makes a flesh warp if their DNA can commingle at all. Buh, stumbled into that one, didn't I? What I had meant to say was I'm not sure these things would be able to reproduce after, you know, all the genetic experimentation thrown into a vat, so on and so forth. They are also mechanically, in 2nd edition, our first ever playable thing with the aberration typing. I think that's really cool. That's one of the things I like the most about Starfinder, is that a lot of the playable things there run the gamut past humanoid or even like monstrous humanoid or native outsider. The Fleshwarp gets 10 hit points, a whole heck of a lot at character creation. They're medium creatures with a speed of 25 feet, and ability boosts to Con +1 free with no flaw, which means this could really be used on anything you wanted it. This is scary good. There is not a class in this game, short of you somehow wanting to become undead, that doesn't want some constitution. This one just hands it to you with no downside. They speak common and get bonus languages for their int, of course. They have low light vision, and they gain a +1 circumstance bonus to saves against diseases and poisons via unusual anatomy. And now on to our heritages. Man, looking at these, they feel like lineage feats. It feels like this should have been something you could just staple on. I guess in the nature of Pathfinder 2nd edition, it wouldn't be hard to like house rule that, and I may. But the created Fleshwarp was created through occult or alchemical processes, such as being grown in a vial, stitched together a la a flesh golem in Ustalov, and as a result, you don't need to eat and can't starve. Boom. Haha. Also, a +2 circumstance bonus to saves against disease is pretty neat in a lot of games. The mutated Fleshwarp originated in the Mana Wastes or another region similarly devastated by uncontrolled magic. You gotta not live under the arcane power lines, kids. It's real dangerous. Since this particular Fleshwarp's organs are likely toughened or redundant, the DC for recovery checks against persistent bleed is 10 instead of 15, and it's reduced to 5 instead of 10 if you have particularly effective assistance, aka a band-aid. The Shape Rot Fleshwarp is a victim of flesh warping. which is weird given that this race is like Umbrella called a Fleshwarp. What that likely means is your character was at some point captured, presumably by Drow, or like bought by someone in the Darklands, taken to a lab, they played around with your genetics, somehow you were able to escape, mostly unscathed, as in you weren't turned into an angry rage beast, but you do likely bear loose flesh, bony spurs, or features of inhuman creatures sprouting from your skin. The result of this trauma, truly, is that you gain resistance to mental damage equal to half your level, a minimum of 1. The technological Fleshwarp drank too many Numerian fluids, and whenever they roll a success on a save against an emotion effect, they get a critical success instead. Fair enough. I suppose also this is a neat one for, say, like, half of your brain has been replaced by a Windows 98. Anyway, Fleshwarp feats, here we go. First up, Aberration Kinship at level 1 lets you cast Mind Link as an innate occult spell once per day that only targets aberrations. Man, if you could do that at will, that would be so much cooler. Given that the aberrations in your game are like either almost never going to happen or they're all over the place, and leaning in, suddenly you're like whispering back and forth with the Intellect Devourer or the like Ruchalik or whatever the hell. Deep Vision, of course, Dark Vision at level 1, you knew you'd see it. Living Weapon. When you select this feat, you gain a Claws unarmed attack that deals 1d4 slashing damage with the Agile and Finesse traits, a Horn, Jaws, or Tusk unarmed attack that deals 1d6 piercing with versatile slashing, and this is how you make your, like, Drider that didn't quite come out right, but did get, like, the Tarantula mandibles. Side note, there were so many ancestries in this book, I'm really surprised we haven't seen the Drow yet. They're such a freaking staple. Or a Tail unarmed attack that deals a d6 of bludgeoning with Backswing. All of these, of course, are in the Brawling Weapon group. And unlike a lot of the, hey, you have a part of your body that you can hurt people with feats, these can be selected at any level, and you can retrain into or out of them. You know, if you want your, like, tail to fall off, and suddenly, instead, you have a Praying Mantis hand for one of your hands. And you can take this feat, of course, multiple times, choosing a different attack every time you take it. Startling Appearance, aka Redundant, lets you get trained in Intimidation, or a free thing if you already had it, and you get Intimidating Glare as a bonus. Finned Ridges, now fully into level 5, gets you a swim speed of 15 feet. This one feels like it could have been a level 1 feat, if I'm honest. Though I guess some games might, like, progress out to the sea in the same way that, like, a Dagon might call you back, and therefore you need a swim speed. But, like, I guess if you really need it, it's there at level 5. Side note, it's unfortunate that one of these heritages doesn't literally spell out the Outer Gods played around with your bloodline. Oopsie-doo, now you're a Fleshwarp. Gaping Flesh at level 5, it's a reaction once per day. When a creature you are aware of damages you with a melee strike, your wound yawns open, appalling your attacker. The attacker must succeed at a fort save against your class DC or spell DC, whichever is higher, or becomes sickened 1/2 on a crit fail. It can't recover from the sickened condition while it's adjacent to you, and it's so unfortunate that that doesn't do like 1d4 damage as well, because then you would literally just be the thing. Mutate Weapon for 1 action if you took Living Weapon. Select 1 unarmed attack you gained with Living Weapon. The damage die for that attack increases by 1 step till the end of your turn. In addition, choose to either have that attack gain a reach of 10 feet, or for you to gain a +1 status bonus to attack rolls with the chosen unarmed attack till the end of your turn. Okay, yeah, sure. Powerful Guts, when you pass a fort save to reduce your sicken value, you reduce it by 2 or 3. Uncanny Awareness gives you a keen sense of movement around you, which gives you Motion Sense as an imprecise sense out to 30 feet that allows you to detect nearby motion through vibration and air movement. Okay. So that's really good, right? That's like full stop, though I haven't seen a lot of this book yet. One of the most powerful Ancestry feats I've ever seen. The only way you beat that is if you just, the bad guys have a bunch of invisible rogues who don't take actions. It's better than Tremor Sense in the sense of presumably you would pick up the flying things with this. It's better than Scent, which can be confused by like a skunk. Damn, that's real strong. Like stronger than I thought I would see in 2E strong. At least at level 5. Like I would have assumed you get something like that at like 9th or 13th or something. This Ancestry is looking progressively more and more playable the more I flip through it. Good lord. Captivating Curiosity. Lets you cast Enthrall as a 3rd level occult innate spell once per day, you know, if you really want people to stare at your too many eyes. Coating of Slime lets you deal an additional 1d4 persistent acid damage on a critical hit, which will stack up over time. Eerie Compression. Now, you knew you'd see it on the aberration, didn't you? Your limbs and even your torso can collapse in on themselves, allowing you to fit through tight spaces as though you were a small creature. You can move at your full speed while squeezing, aka compression from older games, aka wow. That's just real good. I know I keep saying that, but the more feats of these I flip through, the more I'm just jaw on the floor. That's really powerful. The Gripping Limbs gives you a climb speed, which took us to level 9 to get, which is fair enough. Slip the Grasp for 1 action with the Flourish trait if you are grabbed, immobilized, or restrained. Attempt a check to escape. If you succeed, you can stride, step, or make a strike with a melee unarmed attack targeting the creature you escaped from. If you fail, you instead attempt to escape a 2nd time. You increase your map as appropriate for the actions you took, but only after completing both. Decent sideboard tech if you're fighting a lot of like giant octopi, tyrannosaurs, other things that like to grab as well. Augment Senses allows you to open vestigial eyes, unfurl tympanic flaps of skin, or otherwise enhance your senses. Until the start of your next turn, you can't be flanked. When you seek for creatures, you can scan a 60-foot cone or a 30-foot burst instead of the normal area. And when you seek for hidden objects, you can search a 15-foot square instead of the normal area. Pretty neat though, and damn scary. Next at level 13, I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going. Spew Tentacles. Lets you cast black tentacles once per day as an innate occult spell, Bite, opening your mouth to an immense size and barfing forth an impossibly large field of tentacles. Lovely. Your tentacles, of course, love you very much and won't try to kill you. And yeah, wow. That's all I have to say. Looking at this, the first of the Lost Omens Ancestry guides, Ancestries I've truly deep dug into. This is powerful. This has a lot of powerful tools in its toolbox, and it has a lot of tools that admittedly feel kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like, I would consider making the swim speed and the climb speed available at like 1st, if not 5th, because in a lot of games, if you're going to need to swim, you'll know from jump, and climbing can so often be replaced by eventually when we're all flying around. An enormous special sense at level 5 is really good too. I could see a lot of people playing these and just taking that and then like adopted ancestrying out, having gotten what they needed, which then circles me back to truly this feels like a versatile heritage less than a true ancestry. Nevertheless, these things are damn disturbing. And I mean that in the best way possible. Especially because as a PC, this damn disturbing thing could take whatever path it wanted to, also supported by its mechanics. If this is a damn disturbing champion of Iomedae who happened to just get a little too much abyssal radiation that turned her into this rather than into a tiefling, that's essentially Book 1 of Wrath of the Wretches in a nutshell. Or say like an elf cleric of a deity in the elven pantheon who was captured by their underground living kin, dragged away, experimented upon, resulting not in, again, creepy tree monster, but something altogether more evil, at least in appearance, when they are rescued by their comrades who stage a rescue op, makes for clearly a very, very unique character. And is a good segue into Darklands adventures, and adventures in Nex, and the Mana Waste, and Numeria, and everywhere in between. Therefore, I love it. A+, 10 out of 10. What do y'all think? Are we rolling this up? What am I doing next? Let me know in the comments. Remember, Patreon gets your requests to the top of the line, and there's a lot of new things. Holy God, there's a lot of new things. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time.